we go. It's time for another load securement video. For context, this is what we're securing. It's basically palletized material, right? And we're gonna be following everything by the book, okay? Everything we're gonna talk about here is gonna be basically in the beginning. We're gonna talk about what the book says. I'm talking about the DOT rule book, okay? The FMCSA, where they cover this part, all right? I got a new hat on because it started blowing. It's cold. It's like mid 40s, but the wind is blowing, so the wind chill is kind of a little down, okay? So first, let me address this comment right here. I made this video a long time ago. I want to say 2 years ago about shingles, okay? And there's nothing specific in it that says shingles, right? It just covers like building materials and anything that it's, you know, bracing each other and things like that. So let me go turn on screen record here. Okay, so I just turned on screen record and we're going to be looking straight in the book, okay? This is straight out of the book, okay? The FMCSA book. Look at this. And there it is. There's editorial note. There's your regulation numbers and things like that. And this is going to be directly from the government. Okay. So I'm not going to discuss specifically what a working load limit is. Basically, the working load limit is what the manufacturer determined. If it's marked on your securement device, it's what manufacturer determined what that breaking point is. That's what working load limit is. And then the DOT sees that working load limit is half. So if you have something that is weighing 20,000 pounds, you need to be able to secure 10,000 pounds of that. That's what they consider a minimum securement of that particular article from forward movement and backwards movement and things like that. Okay. So anyway, here it is. This one in particular, this is what we're going to cover. Okay. Now this comment, that's why I went straight to the book, because this comment right here is actually, it got me thinking, be like, wait a minute, are they right? So something about the Indiana DOT was saying that, you know, it doesn't matter how much it weighs, or it weighs less than 3,000 pounds. It doesn't matter. It's going to be what you might call it needs two straps. Now, I would say that is incorrect. And that is also correct at the same time. You have to look at the fine print. Okay, so here we go. Excuse me. We're gonna read it, just a little bit of it. Okay, not the whole thing. I think where it matters, we're gonna read it. Okay, when an article is not blocked, it's not blocked. Okay, or positioned to prevent movement in the forward direction by a headboard, bulkhead, or other cargo that is positioned to prevent or blocking devices, it must be secured in by at least, okay, one tie down for articles 5 feet or less in length and weighs 1,100 pounds. I don't know where I got that 2,300 pounds. The 2,300 pounds is here somewhere. But anyway, this is your basic one, okay? And that's why I had to look it up. And this one right here is straight from the book, okay? 1,100 pounds, okay? 5 feet or less, 5 feet or less, or 1,100 pounds, then it must be secured one tie down, okay? But if it was 1,100 pounds or more and 5 feet or less, then it needs two tie downs, okay? But you have to remember, this is if it's not being blocked by other articles from forward movement. You have to keep that in mind. That's very important, okay? Now, when that DOT saying that, hey, it doesn't matter if it weighs less than this many pounds, it needs two straps, he is correct and incorrect at the same time. If that pallet is independent by itself, or that article is independent by itself, and there's nothing blocking it from forward or backwards movement, then yes, it needs at least two straps for it to qualify or to be DOT certified. But if that thing is blocking or is being blocked by another cargo of article from forward movement or backwards movement, then it only requires one strap if it's less than 5 feet in length. You see where that is? Okay. And that's where I think the confusion went into when that DOT officer mentioned something about, you know, it doesn't matter. that, you know, it weighs this much, you know. So let's see, two tie downs of the article is 5 feet, yeah, blah blah blah. So basically it's saying if it's 5 feet or more, it's two tie downs, and if it weighs less than or if it weighs greater than 1,100 pounds. But at the same time, if it just all kinds of crazy information. Okay, but this particular, okay, in this particular instance that we are hauling right now, we're just going to talk about this one. Okay, if an individual article is blocked, braced, or immobilized to prevent movement in the forward direction by a headboard, bulkhead, other articles which are adequate secured, or by appropriate blocking or immobilization method, it must be secured by at least one tie down for every 10 feet. Okay, so if it's immobilized by other articles, actually that I did not know. So there we go. It needs to be it only needs to be one, really, one for every 10 foot. Something is conflicting about that rule now. So they also have a rule: if an article is 10 foot or more, it requires 2 straps and 1 more strap for every 10 foot. So this right here itself doesn't make any sense. Okay, I don't want this video to go really long, because I mean, if we talk about the rule book all day long, it's just we're not gonna have no content, right? This rule, see, when the government makes rules and regulations, it's mostly to benefit them, and a lot of times it's up to interpretation. This is why I always say you must look good. Okay, look presentable. Don't argue with them. The DOT officers, trust me, they have the power to. I mean, it's not power, because you can always argue it, right, in court or whatever, right? But at the same time, it doesn't negate the fact that it takes time out of your day already, or out of your business already, for you to make sure that is corrected. Because like DOT officer, right, he can be like, okay, I'm gonna write you up for that, boom boom boom, and then you go to court, and then 3-4 weeks later, boom, it gets, you know what I mean, it gets taken out, because you're correct and you fought it properly. But it doesn't negate the fact that that DOT officer did what he did by, you know, taking time out of your day and making you go to that court date and get, or, you know, use some other individuals' money out of your pocket, use individuals to get that thing removed. Okay, that doesn't negate all that fact, but it's just that the reason why I'm showing you all of this, right, is just that, like, the way the government word things, you know what I mean, they word things out, is that it's open for interpretation, and a lot of times it benefits them more than it benefits you. This is why I say first impression always matters, right? So you got to make sure everything that you do is look presentable, and you know, you have to look neat and things like that. And because I used to be an inspector, so when I'm inspecting something and I approach a situation and I'm looking at it and be like, hey, this looks pretty good, this looks pretty good, this guy right here is taking his time to make it look neat and everything, therefore he cares how it looks, therefore it's more than likely gonna be correct until I am convinced otherwise. Which that otherwise would be when something looks sloppy, something is this, something is that, you know what I mean? And then I start questioning it, you know, and then I go deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's why I always say, make sure you look somewhat decent, presentable, decent, and do not argue with them. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times what I do is like, oh man, I didn't know that. Okay, I thought it was this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm basically using like some kind of reverse psychology that, you know, it's just like, it's not it's kind of like their idea, instead of you telling them, kind of like making them command that this is it. You know what I mean? But in a lot of times though, it's like I said, it's open for interpretation, you know. So I know it's just like, man, why do I even do open deck, right? Well, I'm crazy like that. Now let's discuss these pallets Based on what we just read, according to the DOT, let's discuss how this is secured and how it should be secured per DOT, okay? The total weight of this load is 30,000 pounds. So when it comes to that, this thing is properly covered because we have 3,300 pounds, 3,300 pounds working load limit, 3,300 pounds, 3,300 pounds, 3,300 pounds, and then you got 6,600, 6,600, 6,600. Of course, obviously, your working load limit is based on the lowest rating, right? And where's my, darn it. It's in the paper. Hot darn. It's in the paper. I thought I had a tag here. Okay, anyway, so, no, okay. I thought I had a tag, but this trailer does have rating on, well, from here all the way in the back on the side rail. Even this bottom part right here does have a rating, that little bottom bar. And it's gonna go to the lowest, okay? But we don't have to worry about if we meet that here, because even if we were only, I believe the lowest rating I have here is 4,400 pounds, okay? 4,400 pounds on this rub rail and all of this, okay? Even if it's just that, at 4,400 on this 6-inch, and then this is my lowest rating on this 2-inch strap, it's gonna be 3,300. So we are covered all the way around. Now, on the DOT, okay, you see how this right here, this part right here is bracing each other? Technically speaking, based on what we just read on the DOT, this pallet and this pallet and also this pallet only requires one strap, okay? One strap that would meet the amount of weight that these things weigh. Based on, we got 20 pallets, right? 20 pallets, you divide that by 30. That's, I think I'm looking at about 2,100 pounds each per, per pallet, right? So at 2,100, we have 3,300 here. Actually, dang. Okay, I've traveled a long time and I haven't tightened them up yet, okay? I traveled 40 miles, okay? I haven't tightened them up, so you gotta forgive me with that since I picked them up. Anyway, so 3,300, that's more than enough for 4,000 pounds of weight, okay? These things are bracing each other. They are less than 5 foot, okay? Less than 5 foot, less than 5 foot. But when it comes to the front part, okay, this one is not being braced by anything. This is the reason why we have 2 straps on this thing, okay? So if you had 2 straps here, you are actually technically can have 1 strap here, 1 strap here, 1 strap here, considering that it covers the working load limit of those pallets, okay? And these pallets don't weigh that much, okay? So let me explain why I did it the way I did it, okay? You see how basically you probably understood why I'm doing it the way this is now. You see how there's space in between, so what they did is they stacked these up, okay? You see how they stacked them? I like the way they stacked them, okay? Because it supports each other, okay? So this one is longer that way, and this one is longer this way, okay? So they are supporting each other, and I like the way they stack them like that. However, if you had just 1 strap on here, okay? You put 1 pressure on this part right here. Let's say you put it in the middle. Now you got, this thing is like, if you put pressure downward pressure here, now this part right here is gonna start doing this on you, okay? As you're going down the road, it's gonna start doing this on you, and it could possibly collapse on you. But you also have a secondary measure, which is, you know, this right here, they surround wrapped it, which is really good, okay? So that's one other reason why I put 2 straps on it, to where I'm putting pressure, even pressure here, downward pressure, and downward pressure here. That prevents that whole system, that whole, you know, if you put just 1 pressure here where it's collapsing, and, you know, it's going to start doing a V on you, and then it's going to start walking off on you as you're going down the road, because you're going to receive a lot of vibration going down the road. you know, and that's why I have them pulling down even pressure, pulling down even pressure, pulling down even pressure, pulling down even pressure. So over here, the reason why I did it this way on the front, technically this back one, you only need one strap, and it applies the same principle. You see, like if you were to put pressure, downward pressure right here, these things, you know, the only thing that's holding it is that surround wrap, right? Because you don't have downward pressure going down this way, you don't have downward pressure going down this way, even though this one is being blocked off from the forward movement back that way, you know. So that's why I did it the way I did it, because this is actually, there's things that is minimum DOT, and there is things that are like an actual field experience, where this part right here, I think this is the safest way to move this product or secure this product into this trailer because of the way the product is. See, you have to think about when, oh man, it's a little dark. Okay, when you're securing items on your trailer, right? You have to think about movement, okay? Everything is about movement. Everything is about supporting each other. Like I would rather see this being supported by that, vice versa, being supported by that, being supported by that, because now it becomes almost a one whole article, okay? So that's why the DOT has that, you know, rule that if nothing is preventing it from the forward movement, you must have 2 points of securement on it, even though it's less than 5 foot or whatever, and the weight, you know, that's why they have that kind of rule, because ain't nothing else supporting it from forward movement, therefore it could fall off on you or whatever, or it could walk off on you, okay? So yeah, and that's it. That's one of the reasons why I secured this freight the way I did, because of that, you know, is like technically speaking, based on, no, you can't do it. Even DOT. Actually, this is DOT legal. I think if you were to go any other way, this would be DOT illegal, because it does not have a way for it to be stopped by a bulkhead or whatever, okay? So there's gonna be some forward movement on there. So, but the reason why I did it this way is because of these. I see guys all the time, they have these articles like this, just one strap, man, and then you can see them moving, you know what I mean, swaying, they're going down the road. But my point of doing it like this, so I have pressure going down that way, pressure going down that way, pressure going down that way, so it prevents that from, you know what I mean, that swaying going down the road, you know. So also prevents it from, when you have just one point of pressure right here, prevents that from walking off on you, because it will eventually, I'm telling you, it will eventually walk on you. Now, let me cover one more thing, right? On this particular load. This particular load, a lot of times I see there's distance, there's space in between that. Now, when you have space in between, that's when you're gonna have some problems, okay? I mean, technically speaking, I haven't been able to find it, okay, on the DOT on what the rules are on there. There's parts on there where you're supposed to brace it, but once again, we run into that point where it's very vague and it's based on interpretation, you know? This is what I don't like about, like I said, about government thinking rules and things like that. When they make rules and regulations and stuff, is that it's not very clear. It's very vague when they write it down, because of the fact that it's going to be for interpretation, and that's what I really don't like. Now, you may be asking, why do I have a edge protector on this one, edge protector on that one, and not on those ones? Well, if you notice, these are the 2-inch and these are the 4-inch. The 4-inch, you see how it's semi digging in there into the product. This is to protect the product, okay? You see how it's semi digging in there in the product? But it's not enough that if you were to put the 2-inch on there and then you were to put pressure, it's gonna dig deeper in there. and you could possibly damage the product. That's why I put edge protectors on the 2-inch straps, okay? Now, there's also another part on there that I wanted to talk about that's very vague. The part where it says, if there's abrasion and possibly get cut and something sharp, that you must protect your securement device, okay? That is also very vague. Because, like, let's see, you won't have it here. So let's say on a finished product, like usually you see metals, okay? There's metals that, you know, like beams and things like that. They're gonna be finished products and it's gonna be smooth. So could that form abrasion right there? Could that form where, you know what I mean? That it could be sharp and, you know, a little piece of sharp thing in there, you know, and cut your securement device. And this is what I mean, like when the government writes rules and regulations, it's usually vague, and it's usually, you know, it's gonna be bad for you. It's gonna be against you, and it's not like, that's not done on purpose. They do that for interpretation. They do that a lot, even in the military. They do that a lot. So, and as you can see, like, it's closed off, right? So they're bracing each other, you know what I mean? So as I'm pulling that way, and this way is pushing each other into the middle of the trailer. And that's what I like to see when it comes to securement, you know? So anyway, that's the end of this video, man. Hopefully you guys stuck around. And if you're this is the second time that we're making this securement video, right? I'm trying to make a playlist of these things, and the first one was like, I'm gonna put it in the playlist, and it's probably gonna be in the end of the video. If you made the end of the video, you're gonna be able to see the first one, and you'll be able to click on that one and watch that one too. That one is still relevant, and that one I think is much more specific, like equipment-wise. When you're hauling equipment, it's much more specific compared to something like these, where it's a little more vague and gray area in certain points. So hopefully you learned something from this. And like I said, it's like working load limit is 50% of the article, right? So this is 30,000 pounds. Technically, all I need is 15,000 pounds of securement, but it's all separated items. If this was one whole piece of item, I could technically put just 6 of these straps on there, and we're gonna be just fine, because that'll be able to cover 40 foot of length. Yeah, 40 foot of length. Okay. Anyway, that's the end of the video, man. That's the end of this securement video. Hopefully you learned something, and if you think I am dumb and I didn't cover something or something is not accurate in what I talked about in here, let me know down below. We will see you guys in the next securement video.